Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Amy here with Live Healthy, Be Happy. And I have Julia Jones here with me, and we're going to do a bit of an interview and a little bit chat a little bit about my postpartum doula training that I just did in September 2018. I started with the Newborn Mothers Collective, and I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So that's opening in a couple days, right, Julia?
Yes, it is. People keep saying what time. I'm not exactly sure what time because we're still testing the links. But if everything goes to plan, it will be open soon in like 20 hours or so.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I've just thoroughly enjoyed it. One of my favorite parts was learning about baby brain, and I found it's just been such a common theme in so many areas that I work. Just with the women I work with locally at the pregnancy outreach program I work at, and as well as online and just conversations in the group and on Facebook and such. So
yeah. I totally agree. When I first learned about baby brain, I was introduced to the concept by Christina Smiley, who's a pediatrician and lactation consultant. And when she introduced me to the idea, it just like expanded my mind. I started to see everything in like a totally different way. And what I found is, people often join the course or work with me because they're interested in Ayurveda or food or massage, one of the more practical things. But then actually at the end, they say, no, what really, really helped me was understanding my brain and embracing the feminine and, that whole changing the paradigm around what baby brain actually means.
Yes. And I would have loved to known that, had that information when I was a new mother. It's just so phenomenal. And it's so interesting because as I was like preparing notes for this, I was thinking about, okay, what brought me into the course? And it was the nutrition side of things.
Yes.
But yet, it was the baby brain stuff that really stood out for me.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I could actually totally stop teaching nutrition. It's, it was actually same how I started and I really love it. But there's no way I could stop teaching it because I think I'd lose half my customers. But yeah, definitely once they get in on that, then they're like, wow, baby brain's amazing.
Yeah. I just realized I always forget to share to my group when I start going live.
Oh, I see. So we can wait. That's why there's no one here, hey?
Yeah. Because I just go in and then I share from there. Guys, I always forget to share to my group when I start going
that live. Sounds like it's live.
It's definitely live. Now I think Facebook's changed the way.
They're always changing.
There we go. I'm like, usually the share button's there. There we go. We've shared.
Cool.
Awesome. And so, who do you find are the best suited people to join the Newborn Mothers Collective?
Oh, I attract people who are a few different types. I would say most of all people who are connectors. I think people who really love that village building aspect, and a lot of the time they're introverted, so they actually find the work more sustainable when they do it more holistically and involve the whole village and create that whole support network for the mother rather than just trying to do everything themselves. So definitely people who are connectors are, I think really resonate with my work. But then other people who are kind of mavericks as well and really, really passionate about changing the paradigm and social change, not just building a personal business, but actually changing the way people think about postpartum. I think that's a really big part. And of course, everyone who does the course is very nurturing and sensitive and gentle and, have embrace really those feminine kind of softer ways of doing things. So yeah, they tend to be the kinds of people. But beyond that, all sorts. Like some people don't have kids yet. Some people are here because they had their own experience that was really difficult when they had children. Some people have been like a midwife or a doula for 10, 20, even 30 years. And some people are completely brand new. They've never even heard of it. They know that this is the work they want to do. So, you know, there's a whole range of people, but definitely those kinds of personality types, the connectors, the nurturers, and the mavericks are, you know, that's mostly who we are.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know the feminine, masculine energy. When I had first heard that from you, I was doing a bunch of research on that because it's just so fascinating to me. I've had to really embrace my feminine qualities a lot more as I'm working through this work. And that's been just so neat to learn about that.
Yeah, because you're in Canada, hey, and I think there's a lot of, I think because Canada are very progressive in terms of understanding gender, but I think there's a difference really between like your gender and your biology and your identity, but also everyone, regardless of that, has within them these feminine and masculine qualities. And I think in general in our world, that the feminine has been missing for a long, long time. So, you know, the result of that, I think, is this environmental destruction. It's the, you know, this idea of like infinite growth, you know, but there's no such thing as infinite growth on a finite planet. And it's also led to a lot of the demise of Indigenous cultures and all that kind of stuff. So I think all of that is related to some kind of oppression of our feminine sides, not just for women, but for men as well. And part of that is obviously women rising up, but also part of that is men and people who identify as any kind of gender being able to embrace the feminine and masculine in themselves, and knowing like when is it an appropriate time to apply, like when do I push and when do I listen, you know, because there's just such different qualities, and it's been so undervalued to be feminine for so long that you can easily dismiss a lot of that really gentle power of the feminine.
Yeah. And I feel as we were going through that part of the course and everything and as I do more and more research, I feel like that was a big problem or a big factor in struggling with postpartum depression and anxiety for myself. Is I was embracing so much of that masculine side, researching, trying to figure out and do everything perfect and fit all these expectations that society has laid out. And then it's like, wow, there's a whole nother side of this nurturing, you know, connecting, that oxytocin. And yeah, it's just so fascinating. Just the things that I've been able to pull in with the women that I work with on a day-to-day basis. I'm always telling my supervisor, oh, I'm using my doula training. I used it today again. I used it again today. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I completely agree. And that was exactly my journey and why it was so like revolutionary for me when I learned about baby brain for the first time, which was after I'd had my first baby. And I've had 2 more babies since then, and I can tell everyone it's a hell of a lot easier if you can embrace this more feminine way of being when you become a mother. Our whole lives we're trying to be, you know, like in a man's world, you know, we're trying to like push harder and to hustle and to research and do everything with intellect, and that there's like one answer, you know. And then when you become a mother, it's so much about intuition and tuning in with your baby and finding out what's right for your family. And you know, that softer feminine way it's a big transition in a culture that doesn't really give any value or space to those kinds of qualities.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a big eye opener for me, learning about all of that. And I love how you say that birth isn't about making babies, it's about making moms too. It's just, that's just encompasses everything that we're talking about. It's just such a beautiful statement. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, so I think, the Newborn Mothers Collective will be starting in a few days. And do you have a story behind why you started that and how that kind of all started for you?
Oh, yeah, you know, I actually never really planned or thought that I would teach. Is that okay? Is that me getting an echo? I never thought I would teach professionals. I actually always wanted to work directly with mums, and that's how I started out as a doula myself. And Over time, I just found that what I was learning, it needed to be in the hands of professionals. I just felt like the world just kind of like guided me in that direction. So I don't know, it was never really particularly a choice. But then as I did teach the collective in real life to start with, there were just 6 women in my local town, all sitting on cushions in the floor, figuring it out. And then over time, that course evolved and grew. And now we have 500 students in over 30 different countries. So it's been, it's been hard work. I've definitely worked hard to get it there. But I wouldn't say there was ever a clear time when I said I'm going to teach professionals and stop working with mums. It's been really hard for me to let go of. And I'm thinking I might do some short courses for mums again this year, because I do just really feel that urge to give this straight to mums, which is really what my book is for. My new book is for mums. Professionals read it as well, but it's really directed to mums. And so I still have that yearning. So it's a funny thing. I don't exactly know how I ended up here. It's obviously just what the universe, needed me to do.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. Like, I was just so excited to find you and everything that connected with what I'm doing with my life. And your book, I am so excited to get it in my hands. It's on its way.
I know, it's funny because it's been on the bestseller list and everyone keeps saying congratulations, but no one has actually read it yet. It's still in the post, making its way around the world. So yeah, it'll be nice once people actually read it and I get some reviews and feedback. Then it'll feel like a real book.
Yeah. And I'll definitely be doing a live for everybody in my group once I get my hands on the book and I can give some feedback on it.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love it to know what you think. You could do a little book review or something.
Yeah. I know I've talked about your recipe book as well. So yeah. That's wonderful. Let's see. Did I make any other notes? I think we pretty much covered everything I wrote down. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about?
No, I could just talk about the course a little bit if people are interested in hearing about that.
Yeah.
So we start actually with a webinar tomorrow. So you could maybe share the webinar link with people if you want to. And yes, I can find that link for you once we've finished. And yeah, so we're launching with a live webinar, and that's going to be super exciting. We've got, I think, over 500 people registered for the webinar, which is going to be very exciting. Hopefully my internet's working. So it's been a bit dodgy today. Yeah, and we are opening enrollments now. We've got enrollments open for Feb, and then we're starting properly in March. Module 1 starts on the 4th of March. And there's 6 modules. So we go through the baby brain stuff, which we've covered a little bit. We have a whole module on specific communication skills, which I've updated quite a lot, actually, Amy, since you have done the course. And because that's what a lot of people were asking me, was more actual practical, like how do I actually do this with my clients, which is another reason why I have some interviews on the podcast as well with our graduates, because it is kind of hard to imagine this more feminine stuff if you haven't done it. Once you're actually with a client and you sit there and you're listening and you're holding space and you're asking these questions, it makes sense. You can feel that it's working, but until you've had that experience, it's very hard to picture what that actually looks like. They're like, what am I going to be doing? And I'm like, this isn't so much about doing, it's about being. So that's really what module 2 is all about. And then module 3, we touch on traditional postpartum care from around the world. And again, we've updated the course this time around with interviews, which are in the book as well, from Kenya, from England, an Australian Aboriginal postpartum care interview, and a couple more. I think there's 5, Moroccan and Chinese Malaysian. So we get to hear all these diverse cultures have so much in common. And when you read the stories and you start to see these universal themes emerging, you realize this isn't just like old wives' tales. There's really something in this. If everyone around the world traditionally did this, and everyone, it doesn't matter where you're from, even if you're European, that these traditions, did exist. So I always encourage people to explore their own culture, because it's so fascinating once you realize that this is just everywhere. It's just that we've forgotten. And then module 4, we go into Ayurveda, and module 5 is cooking, and module 6 is massage, belly binding, and baby massage. So yeah, so it's exciting because the whole course has been updated. It's been a big job, and I'm really looking forward to sending it out into the world.
That is exciting. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff in there. I loved reading the stories of the women from around the world, the different cultures. Yeah, that was really neat just to see how we're so connected. I know that's a big piece in like recovering with postpartum depression and anxiety through our support groups that I set up. It's just connecting with other women and realizing that we're all the same in so many ways. And yeah,
and a lot of the time when people think, what's wrong with me, why am I not coping, it's actually because we've put them in this weird cultural situation that of course there's just setting them up for failure. So you know, for a lot of people who are really struggling, it can be very reassuring to realize that actually it's a much broader kind of social problem rather than their individual fault. You know, there's nothing wrong with people who are struggling. It's like, how else could you possibly get through it, you know?
Yeah. Society has a lot of interesting expectations on us as mothers, and I'm hoping that this change is changing that, and all this resonance that you have started.
Yeah, I feel it coming. I mean, I've been doing this work for about a decade, and it's definitely changing. Even when my book was in the bestseller list and I was doing a lot of bestseller list stalking, and in the pregnancy and childbirth category, there was about another 3 or 4 books consistently in the top 100 that were all on postpartum. And you know, that was really reassuring to me, because when I started 10 years ago, there wouldn't have been a single one of those postpartum books on the pregnancy and childbirth list. It wasn't a thing. So the fact that there is actually a few out there now for women to choose from, it's changing. It's changing for sure.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. Well, thank you so much, Julia. And we'll be sure to share that webinar link for everybody to join if they'd like to join that. I'm excited about the webinar, actually.
Yeah, cool. It's always nice to have some friendly faces there.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. And you can share the link as well to the course. And if anyone else has any questions, they can either jump on the webinar, because then we can actually chat, or they can just email us or even ask you, because often it really helps to talk to someone else who's done the course to get a feeling of whether it's the right step for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm here to answer any questions for sure. Yes. Well, you have a lovely day. I guess it's your morning, isn't it? And it's my evening.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think most people who are watching this, it may be a little late for them, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. They can grab the recording later.
Yes.
And then we'll have the links ready for them, so that'll be fine.
All right, Julia, you have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.